Good Tuesday afternoon to you. I hope you're having a great day. It's 4 o'clock and time for Sports4CLE. Plenty of Browns to talk about a little later in the show. Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com, the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, will join us. We'll talk Browns. And that's where we begin. Some more news coming out of the state of Texas. Ed Werder, a long-time beat reporter down in the state of Texas. The first direct meetings between the NFL investigative team and Deshaun Watson have begun in Texas. This is within the last half hour. League seeks to determine if he violated the NFL's personal conduct policy. If so, whether discipline should be imposed. Also important to note, that discipline a little different in that there's an independent arbitrator who makes a recommendation. But is it really different? Here's Mike Florio about the process of suspensions now.
There's a new procedure now. The league basically indicts a player now, and then there's a separate person, a disciplinary officer, hired and paid by the league and the union, who takes it from there and pushes it through to a hearing. And then after a decision is made on discipline, the commissioner has appeal jurisdiction and final say. And at the end of the day, it's still up to whatever the commissioner wants. As long as the disciplinary officer administers any amount of discipline, the commissioner can take it and expand it into whatever he wants. So, for example, the league could say we want him to be suspended for the full year. The disciplinary officer could say, okay, my final ruling is 1 game. And the commissioner on appeal can say, nah, it's a year.
Yeah, right.
That's how meaningless this external process is.
And with that, let's welcome in Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter, well connected in Browns circles, better than anybody. And Mary Kay, let's ask you this. Is it really? I mean, the appeal process was the players' union didn't like that Roger Goodell was judge, jury, and everything. Has that changed at all?
Well, it has changed in that they have appointed the independent person to determine any possible fine or suspension. That is former U.S. District Judge Sue L. Robinson. She's the one that will determine what the discipline is, if any. But then I think, as Mike Florio pointed out there, and as is spelled out in the policy, this is very clearly spelled out in the CBA, that Roger Goodell could change whatever Sue L. Robinson comes up with. He can amend it, he can increase it, he can decrease it. If she doesn't do anything, he can't add a discipline. But as long as she puts forth any sanctions whatsoever, he can kind of craft it from there.
As the NFL has now talked to, or is beginning to talk to, Deshaun Watson, and I know you've written an article on this. This is part of your Hey Mary Kay. Are we any closer to closure on Deshaun Watson, or not necessarily so?
Well, I mean, I think the fact that they're meeting with him in Houston starting today is a sign that they're trying to move this process forward. I mean, if they want to get this suspension handed down before this season, they have to meet with Deshaun. They have to meet with some of the other accusers. So, yeah, I think this is pretty significant that they are actually finally meeting with him and trying to get his side of the story and his word on things. So it's very significant.
All right, conspiracy theorists will love this. Mike Florio again on if other owners who are not happy reportedly about the contract that the Browns gave Deshaun Watson, could they potentially influence Roger Goodell on this suspension? Here's Mike Florio again.
When you're the commissioner and when you are herding cats, which is what you do, when you are commissioner of the entire sport, all constituencies, bull crap. Your constituencies are the 32 owners, the people who pick you, who pay you, who decide whether to keep you. You have to keep them happy. They all are strong-willed. They all are successful. They all are rich. They all are powerful. And they're calling you up all the time, complaining about all sorts of things. So, if you have been worn out for the past 3 months by the decision of Jimmy Haslam to give $230 million fully guaranteed on a 5-year deal to Deshaun Watson.
Right.
And they're pissed off because now we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to pay our quarterbacks 46, 48, 50, 55, 60 million fully guaranteed for 5 years. I'm going to have to put this money in escrow. I don't want to do that. And now I got to do it because Jimmy Haslam did it. I'm not happy. Roger. Hey, Roger, you there? Hey, Roger, I'm not happy about this. We are humans. Our decisions that we make every day are driven by a complex stew of factors. And if you're Roger Goodell and you know you got a certain number of your owners who are pissed off about that contract, you're that's going to seep into your brain.
Mary Kay Cabot, you were at the owners meeting. Is that much ado about nothing with the owners being that upset, or is there a possibility that that could have some truth to it?
No, I don't think it's going to have any bearing on any of the discipline. I don't think it's having any bearing on Baker Mayfield and the fact that he hasn't been traded yet. But yes, there are some owners that are not happy with the fact that the Browns gave this enormous contract out to Deshaun Watson. But that's not going to have any impact whatsoever on Browns business or league business.
All right, now let's move away from the Deshaun Watson situation. Myles Garrett has switched representation. He is going with Clutch Sports. So that is Rich Paul, Cleveland native. That's his group. Represents LeBron James and the like. So Myles Garrett going to Clutch Sports. Browns have Myles Garrett wrapped up, so doesn't affect negotiating or the like. But Mary Kay, what about just Myles switching to that agency?
Well, I think it's significant. He joins the LeBron James family. So that is one of LeBron James' closest friends, Rich Paul, as most of us know. And now Myles is right in there with LeBron, who's repped also by Clutch Sports. And Clutch Sports is starting to have a bigger presence on the Cleveland Browns. They have Jed Wills, they have Greg Newsome, they have Perion Winfrey, they have Myles Garrett, and they're gaining some momentum. So I think it is important. I think it's important. I think that means that LeBron James will have a little bit more influence. We already know he talked to Perion Winfrey on the phone. This probably means that he'll have some alliance with Myles Garrett. Maybe they'll do some things together from appearances or marketing standpoint. So I think it's very significant.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Clutch Sports, obviously with the LeBron was in basketball, they're now getting some marquee names in the football space as well. So we know for certain now Jarvis Landry signed with the New Orleans Saints, 3 years guaranteed base, then 3 years or $3 million guaranteed base for 1 year, potential for $3 million in incentives. First, let me ask you, what do you think he'll be remembered for here in Cleveland?
Well, I think that he will be remembered for, just for setting the tone, for always catching everything, for having chemistry with Baker Mayfield, for being a very vocal leader, for his contagious performance on Hard Knocks, and just kind of, just bringing up the intensity and the passion of the Cleveland Browns and setting the bar very high and trying to get this thing turned around.
Now, the other part of that is I was a little surprised that it was $3 million, as the base and $3 million in incentives. Does that surprise you that it wasn't a little bit more than that, or is that kind of where you thought it would likely fall?
No, I actually thought it would be more than that. I think it's probably a tough pill to swallow for Jarvis to have to make that kind of money when he was supposed to make a base of $15 million and have a cap hit of over $16 million this year. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. To have to go out and play for $3 million base, that has to be tough to take, and I think it's unfortunate. But he is going home. It is a chance to rebuild his career in his hometown where he played at LSU and where he grew up. So, I think it's a good opportunity for him.
The other thing is it shows you how tough the market is right now. It's going to be tough for anybody to get a big-time contract as it sits now that's left out there on free agency. Accurate to say that, you believe?
Yeah, I think so. Now you're in that, last final wave, and guys usually don't make that much money. Although I will say, I think that Jadeveon Clowney and the Browns, when they've talked, they have some numbers in mind, and I don't think he's going to be taking a real low ball offer to come join the Cleveland Browns. I think he'll probably have a decent incentive-laden contract.
Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter from the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we will get Mary Kay's thoughts on rookie minicamp, finished up just a couple days ago out in Berea. That's straight ahead on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Mary Kay, over the weekend, Browns rookie minicamp wrapped up out in Berea. What stood out to you from the rookie minicamp?
Oh, I was just retweeting the fact that we're on right now, so didn't do that before. Okay, so sorry about that. In terms of Browns rookie minicamp, the thing that really stood out to me was a lot of these guys they really looked the part, they sounded the part. I was pointing this out yesterday on the Hey MK podcast that if you're going to be a rookie and make the Cleveland Browns now, you're going to have to be really good. This is a good roster. This is a Super Bowl roster. So you can't just be, average. You've got to be really amazing if you're going to find some playing time. And it looks like there are some guys that might fit the bill. I mean, I could see David Bell coming in and getting playing time right away. I can see Martin Emerson, Alex Wright, and Perion Winfrey all getting playing time and contributing in a significant way right off the bat. And they certainly looked the part. Martin Emerson looked athletic. He's tall. He's got a long wingspan. He has played against some really good SEC competition. And, I also think that matters. Alex Wright, it just looks like he's got so much potential room to grow as well into his body. And, we all know the fire and the passion that Perion brings. And it just seems like, it was a really solid class.
Are you surprised, given that they didn't have a first-round pick, they traded out of the second round, and that, they ended up picking a bunch of third, fourth, and fifth-round guys? Are you surprised at, what you saw, that they came in looking like they did?
Well, this is where a personnel department earns its money. If you can find a Martin Emerson in the third round and he plays up to a second rounder or matches the performance of some of those guys that were picked ahead of him, that's where you can hang your hat on that sort of thing. If you draft a David Bell and kind of overlook the fact that he had a little bit of a slower 40 time, which caused him to drop into the third round, and he produces a ton in the NFL and for the Cleveland Browns, then you've made your money there in the personnel department. So that's what you're looking at. You're looking to try to find diamonds in the rough and gems and guys that other people didn't have rated as highly, and you're getting them for a bargain price.
I know you wrote an article on Perion Winfrey. What did you find out from some of the guys that are around and what they thought of him, especially a guy that was a rookie a year ago, Greg Newsome? But what was the consensus about Perion Winfrey, and in that article that you wrote?
Yeah, I had an opportunity to talk to Greg about Perrion. It was kind of cool because they've known each other really well since high school. They were in the same friend group. They hung out together. And then when Perrion Winfrey went off to junior college and Greg Newsome went off to Northwestern, he didn't forget about Perrion Winfrey. He stayed in touch with him. He kept in contact with him. He kept him boosted up and encouraged. And Perrion Winfrey really appreciates that he did that for him because, you know, he didn't forget about him. Just because he was in JUCO. And then when he got to Oklahoma, Greg still stayed in contact with him there. And they're really, really excited to play together. He just talked about how he was unblockable in high school and they had to put 3 guys on him. And it was just, it was good little insight from a guy who now is going to be not only a close friend, but a teammate.
It was interesting when asked about the way he was used at Oklahoma, Winfrey, he didn't necessarily take a shot at the way he was used, but it was pretty clear he's thrilled to be in the system that he's in now and not asked to be kind of the nose tackle.
Yeah, actually, I went back and I found a whole interview with Perrion Winfrey where he did talk about the fact that he wasn't used correctly at Oklahoma. And, you know, just didn't have an opportunity to, you know, shoot the gap and rush the passer and do all the things that he does so well. He was actually a nose tackle in a 3-4. That's different than what he'll do here. He'll play the 3 technique, shaded on the outside of the guard. And, you know, so it's going to be different for him, not playing, you know, directly over the center in a 3-4. He'll have opportunities to, you know, to really beat his man one-on-one there. And he really should complement the guys on the outside and bring some of that interior pass rush, which can be hard to find. And that's the number one asset that I believe they think he has.
The other guy that a lot of people are excited about is David Bell. It was pretty clear just in listening to Kevin Stefanski talk about him. He was excited that the Browns were able to add David Bell. Can you add some insight into that as well?
Yeah, he really seems to like David Bell a lot. He was more effusive in his praise of David than he has been a lot of other guys. So to hear him actually come out and say some very specific things and deliver some really nice compliments about David, I think that speaks a lot about his ability and what he can bring to the table. There's something that Kevin sees in him that he really likes a lot. I think it's just the the route running, it's the hands, it's just the vision, the football intelligence, just the ability to separate and play inside and do all those kinds of things. And there's just something about him that really seems to have struck Kevin.
Another guy that Browns fans have been kind of excited about is Alex Wright. Now, University of Alabama, Birmingham, so he's not a Power 5 guy. But you mentioned guys that look the part. He looks like an NFL defensive end, doesn't he?
He does. He really does. He's got great size. He's 6'5", somewhere in the probably 270 range. Again, he can put on some weight, and when he does, it's going to be lights out to see what he can do just from a rushing standpoint, because he's got good speed, good explosiveness off the edge. Now, he is probably going to need to work on setting the edge a little bit and stopping the run. But if you just get him going forward and doing what he does best, he should be able to contribute right away.
Last guy I'll ask you about from that rookie class, Cade York, the kicker. I listened to his media availability, was really impressed. I mean, this is the kind of guy you want in a pressure situation, at least from the initial reaction to him.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a really nice job in his press conference with us the other day, and there's a lot of cool things about him. And he has spent time talking to Phil Dawson, which was a prerequisite. I was kidding around that he knew we were going to ask him that, so he had to get that out of the way before he showed up for rookie camp, or he would have had to answer for that. So that was good, and he's already been down at the stadium. And I think one of the most important things about him that we needed to know was, can he handle kickoffs? I mean, he's going to pretty much have to do that. And they are very, very confident that he can handle the kickoff chores. He only didn't do it at LSU because there was a long-time kickoffer who did that, and he was great at it. He was one of the best in the country, so they just continued to have him do it. but Cade York can handle it.
Yeah, the other thing that was really interesting, so the Browns released the two kickers they had, and I thought his answer to that was very telling. He said, I'm competing with anybody else in the country who kicks at this point.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good answer. He's a very smart young man. Again, all the guys that they draft, they all have these common denominators of being smart, tough, accountable. And, again, they sound the part, they look the part. And it was that way with Cade York. And that's a great answer by him because, again, he knows that in the clutch, he's going to have to go out and beat, the Bengals and Evan McPherson and go out in the clutch and have to beat the Baltimore Ravens and Justin Tucker and those kinds of guys. So I like the way he put that.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com, and I'm going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we turn our attention a little bit to the free agent class, what the Browns still might do. We'll also take a look at the running back position. Sports for CLE. Be right back. Stay with us.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery, Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Thanks for buying a fishing license. I want you to picture all of the great things this simple purchase does. Like building public boat ramps, keeping local waters clean, and maintaining a healthy fish population.
What's Mom doing?
When you buy a fishing license, you do a lot. Every dollar protects and maintains your local waterways for future generations to enjoy. Visit takemefishing.org.
We continue talking Browns with Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. This one is from the Bleacher Report. One veteran free agent who could make a team a Super Bowl contender for the Browns, Jadeveon Clowney. They go on to say, playing opposite Garrett, he notched 9 sacks in 14 games. Number he's only reached 2 other times in his career. He did it in fewer games, 14 last year with the Browns. And then also Jonathan Jones tweets, a return to the Cleveland Browns has long made the most sense for Jadeveon Clowney. That's one to keep an eye on as voluntary OTAs continue. Mary Kay, I know every week, Mary Kay, we ask you, is it still likely? We still haven't heard Jadeveon necessarily attached with anybody else. Are you still getting the sense it's more likely than not that he's back with the Browns?
You know what? I think so. I mean, I really do think so, unless something goes awry, in the next week or so. I really do think that they would like to have him back and he would like to be back. Maybe they're still haggling over the money a little bit. Maybe there's some bonuses, or I don't exactly know what the holdup is, but hopefully they can get it done sooner than later. I think it's a good thing for the Cleveland Browns to do it. I think it's good for Myles Garrett to have him on the team. I think it'll be good for Perrion Winfrey, especially given the fact that there's some young guys. I mean, you've got Alex Wright that would be out there. You've got Chase Winovich. He's got some experience. But to have a veteran out there like Jadeveon Clowney opposite Myles Garrett, it's good for both of them. Yeah,
the other thing you mentioned, they're going to probably have to work with Alex Wright on setting the edge. Jadeveon Clowney is a guy that knows how to do that, and that's a skill that – the young guy could definitely learn from Jadeveon Clowney. So there's some benefit to some of the young edge rushers as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that Jadeveon Clowney does better than almost anybody in the NFL in terms of edge rushers, and that is set that edge. He's really, really, really good at that. Grades out really high every year in that regard by Pro Football Focus. And, for a couple of years, he was better at that than actually getting sacks. Now, last year, he added the sacks back into his game. So if he can do that in this system and help out Myles, take a little bit of heat off him, and those guys combine for, 25, 26 sacks again next season, I think that, that would serve them very well.
So the other thing, we're starting to hear the Browns connected with Ndamukong Suh, who is still a free agent, a tackle. Have you heard any of that? Is there any, does that have any life to it, or is that kind of being manufactured, do you think?
Yeah, I am not. I'm not feeling that one. I don't think that is, an avenue that fans really need to go down. I've kind of, probably, as you may have noticed, I really haven't written very much about that, just because it's not something that I think they are really pursuing. So, yeah, that was one of those things that, it gets out there and takes on a life of its own, but it doesn't really have many legs. All
right, fair enough. I know you also have answered this with the Hey Mary Kay. Do you think the Browns will extend Kareem Hunt and try to keep him and Nick Chubb together beyond this season? What do you think the future is for Hunt?
Well, I think it's up in the air, really. And, I kind of think that's a little bit unfortunate. I would really like to see those guys here together beyond this year. And it's not that he won't be. It's just that it's a little bit up in the air. Maybe it's 50-50 or something like that right now. If they start negotiations to extend his contract before training camp, then I would have to say that, maybe there's a good chance he will be back after this year. If they don't do that and they let it go into the season, I think there's a better chance that he will become a free agent after the season and either sign back at, maybe a little bit of a lower contract or find greener pastures and go somewhere where he can actually be more of a workhorse type back. So yeah, I think it's something to keep an eye on, and health has something to do with it.
Along the lines of running backs, Pro Football Focus has given us some tiers. So tier 1, the elite running backs, and in that tier they list Jonathan Taylor 1 and Nick Chubb 2. So Nick Chubb, by Pro Football Focus ranking, you see the run grades, the rush after contact, the yards after contact, the missed tackles. Nick Chubb obviously grades out high. Most difficult tackling assignments in all of football in 2022, Nick Chubb. Now, among the non-starters, honorable mention, Tony Pollard, Kareem Hunt, and A.J. Dillon. So again, that kind of gives you a little bit of credence to how good that 1-2 punch is. The analytics-driven Pro Football Focus ranks them among the best in football.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, when both of those guys are healthy, it really is something to behold. I mean, you can see how Kareem Hunt can keep Nick Chubb really fresh for the fourth quarter, enable him to average 10 yards per carry. When it gets late in the football game, those two guys together in the cold weather games, I mean, there's so much to be said for that. I think Deshaun Watson will really appreciate those two guys, just the 1-2 punch that they provide. And, it would be nice for the Browns if both of those guys can stay really healthy this year and, keep each other fresh all the way through the season and into the playoffs.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com, and I are going to step aside, take one more time out. Other side of the break, we head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason, a caller with a question about the schedule. We'll also get Mary Kay's thoughts about how the Browns schedule lays out for next season. Sports for CLE, we'll be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to Go Forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Time to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the Browns schedule.
Hey, this is Buddy Browns, stuck in Baltimore. If the Lions get Thanksgiving every year, no matter how terrible they've been, and now the Browns aren't so terrible at all, but even if they were, I can't think of anything better than the Browns playing every single year at home on Halloween. And if the day doesn't work out, a Tuesday or something, a day before or 2 days before Halloween, but commemorate Halloween. I mean, what makes you think about Halloween more than that orange pumpkin helmet of the Browns and those fall colors they wear? So why not 80,000 people in costume? Have a big contest, costume, whatever. It would be the most unbelievable atmosphere to have Halloween every night in Cleveland.
As always, we appreciate all of the voicemails. Mary Kay had never thought about that before. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. You can have Myles decorating decorating his front yard with tombstones every year to get ready for the big game, and that would be really something. It would have felt like a Raiders thing to me back in the day, but sure, bring it on.
All right, so they announced the schedule after you were on the show last week. So let's go through that. How do you think the way this schedule lays out? The first 4 games, man, I don't want to say they're easy, but it's a favorable first quarter, first 4 games now because there's 17 games. But those first 4 games, if you're the Browns, you have to feel pretty good about the way it starts.
Well, I've written this. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought perhaps that the league was doing the Cleveland Browns a favor in those first 4 games, anticipating that perhaps maybe Deshaun Watson might be suspended for some of those games or all of those games. But of course, I've been told point blank by the NFL that the scheduling had absolutely nothing to do with the possible suspension of Deshaun Watson. But if Jacoby Brissett has to start those first 4 games, there are some winnable games in there. But I don't think anybody should take any of those for granted either. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's going to be on a Thursday night. It's here, but it's still their defense is always good. And if it does happen to be Jacoby Brissett, that Steelers defense will be sure to try to get after him as much as possible. They've got an upgraded receiving core, and who knows? I mean, Kenny Pickett. I mean, he's played a significant amount of football. So maybe if he is starting by then, he will play above his rookie status, or maybe they'll even have Mitch Trubisky starting the season out, and he has plenty of experience under his belt. So I don't think that you can look at all of them and just say, oh well, this is going to be 4-0 by the end of that. But it is a little bit of an easier slate if Deshaun is not there.
The other thing then is it gets pretty tough in the middle, and those next 4, and then the bye, and then right after the bye, the middle of that schedule is the meat of it, and it's pretty tough.
Yeah, you'd almost like some of these easier games to be spread out through the season, because there are some gauntlets in there that you're going to have to get through, with some of the division games and the Buccaneers and the Bills. And, there are some really good quarterbacks that you're going to have to face this season, both in your division and outside of the division.
All right, so let's look at what some people are thinking in terms of the season. So this is from NFL.com. Maurice Jones-Drew, most vulnerable current division champ in 2022, and he goes with the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, he mentions brutal schedule for the Bengals. Cleveland traded for Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson. And we're going to go to the NFL's FPI ranking from ESPN. Seth Walder tweets, the Browns actually are ranked 10th, and you see gives them a 35.2% chance to win the AFC North. That is the favorite to win the North. And then a 3.3% chance to win the Super Bowl. Rating itself indicates approximately how much better or worse team is than it's predicted to be relative to the NFL average team on a neutral field. It's a predictive rating. So again, they say the Browns are 3.5 games better than the average NFL team. What about the roster? I mean, we've kind of danced around it. This roster is pretty good. How good do you think it is when you look at it?
I think it's really good. I mean, I think there's a couple places where they could just beef up a little bit. So I would definitely get Jadeveon Clowney under contract. And then I would add a number 2 veteran receiver. They don't seem to have plans to do that, but I would kind of keep my eyes peeled for that. I just think that that's something that would be necessary, especially in the event that, I mean, what if Amari Cooper goes down for 3 or 4 games or something like that? He's usually really reliable. He's one of those Iron Man guys that doesn't miss games, but you never know. And so I would probably bring on another receiver, maybe even as you go through the season. Maybe Will Fuller will be interested in coming back and playing with Deshaun Watson again, or somebody along those lines. But that's one thing I would do. Yeah,
I agree. And I know they want to take a look at some of their young guys. And along those lines, this is from Mike Tannenbaum, 33rdteam.com. 5 players who will make their first Pro Bowl in 2022. Mike Tannenbaum is a former GM, and he says Donovan Peoples-Jones. He said in his time with Houston, Watson has shown a propensity to push the ball downfield. This will help DPJ's development as he wins with his deceptive route running, long speed, and ability to play at the catch point. Kind of interesting. What are your thoughts? Do you think the Browns are kind of thinking along those terms that Deshaun Watson's going to make Donovan Peoples-Jones better?
Yeah, I think that they believe that he's going to make all of their pass catchers better, all the way from David Njoku to Harrison Bryant to Donovan Peoples-Jones to Anthony Schwartz. So in some ways, I feel like they didn't really believe that they needed to completely upgrade the receiving core or the tight end core too much with new faces, because beyond Amari Cooper, because they really felt that Deshaun would almost make those guys new and renew their careers and revive them in some ways. So I think that's the key. And I really hadn't thought in terms of Pro Bowl for some of those young guys, but I suppose if Deshaun plays most of the season and he gets up to speed very, very quickly in this offense, then some of those guys will be the beneficiaries.
All right, before we let you go, predicting each and every team's breakout player for 2022. This is from the Bleacher Report. They go with the Browns linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Future is incredibly bright now that Owusu-Koramoah is an established starter moving forward. He has the blend of comfort in space and finishing ability to force turnovers and impact plays. I said it last year, and I'll say it again. The more I see of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on the field, the more I want to see more of him on the field. What do you think of him and kind of the way he's trending?
Yeah, I certainly think that's a good choice for breakout player. I mean, he showed evidence and signs of that as a rookie, and it was kind of a quirky rookie year because of all the weird things that happened to him with the weight room accident and with getting COVID and a high ankle sprain. And It was very disjointed. So if he can stay reasonably healthy, then I think that he should be fine. And he should really break out and make a lot of noise in 2022. And he's somebody that should be gunning for Pro Bowl honors in his second season.
Yeah, the one thing that I want to make sure that the Browns find guys that can keep blockers off of him, because I think that's him in open space is really good for the Browns defense.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I think they need to keep blockers off of him, keep him clean. That's one of the things that you hope Perrion Winfrey and those tackles can do, because when he's in open space, he's really effective.
Yes, absolutely. And they need to do more of that, and they will. And I think with him having a full entire training camp this year, he will definitely have more of those opportunities.
Mary Kay Cabot, Browns beat reporter for the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. Mary Kay, as always, thanks so much for the time and the insight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mary Kay Cabot, make sure you read her pages of the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We continue talking Browns. Brad Ward from brownswire.com, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, straight ahead on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. Deshaun Watson, new quarterback for the Browns. Everybody talks about his football IQ. Here's a little bit about what they like. So post-game, one of the games he played a couple years ago against the Panthers, he was asked about why the ball didn't go downfield more. Here's Deshaun Watson's answer from a post-game against Panthers.
Is there anything you guys can do as an offense to manufacture more opportunities for you to try them downfield, or was that kind of the only 2 or 3 opportunities you had in the game?
I mean, you know what coverage they're playing?
Well, you said earlier.
I'm just asking. I'm not.
No. I wanted.
It's cover 4.
Yeah.
So what the safeties are doing, they're playing deep. They're guarding number 2, corner seam, and they trap 2. So what they're doing is keeping everything in front. The linebackers are playing anything across. Kiki is playing in the middle. He stops everything that crosses the middle. He jumps everything that the safeties is charging on number 2. So if the safeties are playing low, then we can take that. We have to hit double moves. Mm-hmm. We did the post because Reed stepped up on 2 with an out over the top. I didn't hit it. Same thing with Hop. In route, safety jumped up. He went vertical. I didn't hit it. That was the only 2. After that, they played back, cover 2. 6, Buzz, which is safety. Reed comes in between. Keithley, the outside linebacker, he plays deep. Gotta get rid of the ball.
Thank you.
Let's welcome in Brad Ward from brownswire.com as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. Brad, that was pretty impressive. He explained a coverage so that a non-football person could understand it.
Yeah, I could watch that all day, Dave. I've seen that multiple times. And, you know, that his ability to do that is what makes him special. I mean, he has elite physical traits. He's a spectacular athlete, a great leader in the locker room and whatnot. But that level of understanding and kind of talking like a coach, seeing the field like a coach would, is what makes him a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, you know, with on top of the physical stuff, right? That's what takes him to the next level. And Browns fans are in for a delight when he gets on the field this year, I think.
Yeah, and again, that would be why he appeals to a coach like Andrew Berry and a general manager like a coach like Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. All right, you've written on this topic, and take us through kind of the thought process. Makes no sense for the Browns to have gone pretty much all in to improve the quarterback position and then come up short at defensive tackle and defensive end.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, this offseason has been quite a ride, right? So, you know, you go through the entire Deshaun Watson thing, which brings with it the Baker Mayfield mess, $230 million guaranteed. You finally land that guy. You're working through all of what comes with that, the baggage, the noise. And then with the roster that's excellent all over, back end of the defense, good linebackers, great secondary, and then you have Myles Garrett, it would be really silly for them to do all of that, spend all of that money, bring in Deshaun Watson, draft David Bell, all of this stuff, and not complete the roster, come up short at defensive tackle by a couple $1 million on Akeem Hicks or Ndamukong Suh, or not close the Clowney deal. Or in my opinion, maybe even go out and get a veteran wide receiver, because my fear in the wide receiver room is that I look at it as incomplete. I don't think the Browns do. I think the Browns are happy with what they have. But Dave, I kind of feel like, what if Donovan Peoples-Jones or Amari Cooper or even David Bell gets dinged for a couple games? Now, suddenly, if they want to run 11 personnel, we're depending on Anthony Schwartz and Jakeem Grant to take on huge snaps. I'm not really comfortable with that, right? So I feel like they needed to add a body there as well. And coming up short on completing this roster just seems really silly after everything they've gone through.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think the other thing is that defensive line is so important to the way they want to play defense. And I like their secondary a lot. Their safeties and their cornerbacks are really good. I'm a big fan of JOK, so their linebackers are fine. But, I'm with you. Along those lines, how would you finish out the roster? When you're looking at this roster, if Andrew Berry could get what he wanted, how do you think he finishes it?
I think that ideally, for me, it would be Akeem Hicks in the middle. I know there's some talk of Ndamukong Suh out there, and that would be totally fine too. I think he would fit fine. I know you would have to, probably both these guys, you're looking at limiting their snap counts to like between 60 and 70%. I think that's what Tampa Bay did with Suh last year. I think I read they had him at like 63% of the snaps, which is fine. That's all the Browns need to bring in, is an experienced guy that can do that on the inside. And, of course, you have to land Clowney at this point. I mean, the Browns have been banking on Clowney for so long. It's really actually kind of scary, Dave, at this point. We talk every week and on every show that I do and every question that we answer and write about, we're just assuming that Clowney's going to be there. What if he wasn't at this point is kind of the question, right? Jerry Hughes is off of the market. So it would be quite interesting if that didn't play out. But obviously, I think those two, either Suh or Hicks, and Clowney. And then I think that a guy like Will Fuller makes a lot of sense. Just as I know he's been injury prone, but just to bring in another veteran body out there, a familiar face for Watson that he's had success with. I think you could even, kick the tires on a guy like a Cole Beasley or something like that to bring in as well. Anybody out there, I don't really care if they're a slot or an outside guy, but just a veteran body in case there was an injury that you don't have to depend solely on unproven guys to fill out that room and take on heavy snaps.
Almost like a break glass in case you need kind of wide receiver.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, this one is interesting. This is from Sports4CLE.com. 3 NFL teams that should go all out to secure Odell Beckham Jr. Number 1, the Cleveland Browns. And they allude to the rough history. Number 2 they have is the Packers, and number 3 they have the Indianapolis Colts. Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns. I don't know about that one, Brad. Your thoughts?
Me neither, Dave. I'm with you. I think I've seen that show already, and I know it's a different quarterback and everything, but I guess I burned my hand on the stove already. I'm not ready to go back yet and get burned again. So I would let the Packers take him on and do all that. I think he seems like a good fit there. I don't even know when he's going to be ready to play.
Right.
I'm good on that. I'm good. I feel like we had plenty of time to work that out, and Stefanski had plenty of shots to make him work in the offense, and it did not work, despite the new quarterback and everything. I'm good. I wish Odell his best, and I think despite needing a receiver, he's not the guy for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I think his best place is probably with the Rams. He seemed to like it there, so that's if I was guessing, he's probably going back to the Rams. All right, Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com, as well as the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast, and I'm going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, talk a little bit about Baker Mayfield. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns with Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com. So Deshaun Watson and the offense going to get together in the Bahamas. Baker Mayfield, will he be there? Rich Eisen has some thoughts. This is from the Rich Eisen Show.
If you're Baker Mayfield, do you just happen to show up, like, hey, I'm part of the team. I'm your teammate. No, I'm just here. Just wanted to, maybe do a little gambling, a little fun in the sun. It's a free trip. Oh, you're here.
Oh, some golf?
Huh. Isn't that amazing? Of all the gin joints in all the world.
Baker's got a really good sense of humor and kind of a personality.
Yeah.
I could see him doing that, right? Just showing up and being like, hey, guys.
World's most awkward progressive commercial. Showing up. And by the way, Baker did this with his teammates in Austin, Texas, and now Deshaun's like, Bahamas, everyone. Well, feeling good.
Yeah, right.
Lewis?
Baker's rookie deal, not exactly 230 guaranteed.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So, Austin,
Exactly.
Bahamas. Hey. We flying private down there, probably?
Pretty much. But so if you're Baker Mayfield, what do? You don't show up there. You know where you show up? You show up for minicamp. That's where you show up.
Brad Ward, what about it? Do you think he shows up to minicamp?
I don't think so. I don't think he'll be at minicamp. I don't, and they're joking about the Bahamas. How awkward. I mean, how awkward would that be? I think that people forget that he asked for a trade, right? I know that it hasn't gone that way. The market hasn't developed for him, but I mean, he went in and demanded a trade. So Why would he be showing up for I mean, that's his best way. Granted, I'll give him this. His best way to force the Browns' hand is to show up for everything. But I don't know how that aspect's gonna play out. I mean, if I'm the Browns, I'm just like, just stay away. You're granted your release. Just stay away from the building. That's fine. We're working on a place to get you. It's tough. There's the outcome of this could come a number of different ways. And the Browns are getting kind of beat up right now on this topic nationally as they're treating of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, do you buy that? I mean, in Cleveland, that doesn't really play.
It doesn't, and I don't. Nationally, I get where they're coming from. They say, oh, he played hurt to his own detriment, right? Is the whole deal there. And then now you're treating him like a possession and not a person, right? Well, let's remember that he requested a trade. Let's remember that he played 3 years prior to this last year where he played hurt, which also was evaluated by this team. It is fully their right to go try to make that room better. And it's bad business just to eat $18.8 million. I will tell you, Dave, one of the most surprising things I read was that during the draft night negotiations with the Panthers, the Browns were only willing to eat $3.5 million of his contract. That seems really, really short-sighted on the Browns' part. I feel like I would have eaten somewhere between 8 and 10 just to get him out the door and get this over with. 3.5 seems like nothing. I don't think you're getting anybody to take on $15 million of Mayfield's deal. That seems rather short-sighted on their part.
All right, let's switch topics a little bit before I let you go. Rookie minicamp. Who do you think kind of grabs some people's attention, and who are you most excited to see kind of lining up with some of the veterans as they move forward?
Obviously, Perion Winfrey is fantastic. What a personality. How can you not be excited about him? I expect him, the way he's talking about learning from Garrett, I expect him to maybe potentially start for this team. I don't know. I would think that he has a pretty good shot at it at this point, unless they bring in another body. And even then, he could maybe start opposite him. But I like Winfrey a ton. Obviously, I love David Bell, a huge David Bell fan. So I think that that is the most exciting. Those are the obvious ones. Obviously, I think they have some really interesting UDFAs, including the Isaiah Weston kid. I mean, talk about an athlete, right? This kid is 6'4", or whatever, 200 some pounds or 200 pounds, and ran a 4.4 40, jumped 40-inch vertical. I mean, this guy is a super athlete. Now, the nuance of being a wide receiver is where he needs to get better. But you would like to think that he has a chance to maybe beat out Michael Woods or something like that to get on the roster because of his just pure upside, I would think, Dave.
Yeah, the other thing that intrigues me, Perion Winfrey was playing out of position at Oklahoma. So yep. I'm really anxious to see, with a little bit of coaching, getting around a couple of veterans, because he showed out at the Super Bowl, or the Senior Bowl, rather. There, Freudian slip there. How anxious are you to see him play tackle after he gets a little bit of the technique work?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what he needs. I think that the amount of, guy has the body already, has the physical traits. So the nuance of learning the position and getting in there and learning the scheme, even more importantly, what the Browns want him to do, he could certainly, I fully expect him to fill a big role and take on a large amount of snaps this year. I think they took him with that in mind, to be honest, Dave.
Brad Ward, as always, appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Brad.
Of course, Dave. You're the best, man. Thank you.
All right, Brad Ward. Make sure you read him, brownswire.com, also the host of the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports4CLE. Mac Robinson will be filling in as the host tomorrow. 4 o'clock scheduled guest, G. Bush from 92.3 The Fan, as well as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Mac Robinson in the chair tomorrow at 4. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.